It's gonna sound so simple, but the coolest part of Starship to me is that it's just cool. Like, there's cards in Hearthstone that now say, if you're building a starship. We could do that? We're here to talk about the new Starship mechanic, a really big, exciting new feature of the Great Dark Beyond expansion. Players are going to be able to build these gigantic starships in a game by combining a bunch of different pieces throughout the game. What if you could build to this one giant minion? Rather than just making it bigger with attack and health, what if you could also add effects and literally combine different minions together? I basically called dibs on doing exactly that. I took what we had with some reflavoring of the fantasy. It's no longer this big cartoon toy, and it's now you're assembling one of these Draenei starships. It felt right, it felt great. There was a lot of iteration that happened, obviously. We definitely needed the time for another expansion to figure out the mechanic, but I'm like stoked with where we landed.
I know all of us on the visual effects team, we're kind of in the craft of making magic, sort of figuring out the visual pillars for all of these. It's just so evocative what we get to create. And then with this one, we had Draenei space magic. It was way more specific. It's not generic techno hologram magic. A lot of cool visual pillars, and yeah, Starship kind of brought all those together in one tight little package.
Trying to make starships as a mechanic on in a card game is like really exciting. Like, how do you even represent this kind of like giant, complicated concept?
I think sound-wise, first things I wanted to kind of get across was the scale of these minions. You know, these entities are huge, right? Especially, you know, when they come in to play after being launched, and when they attack and when they are destroyed. You know, I wanted to have it just not have the usual token crumble sound that we have for Murlocs.
It's gonna sound so simple, but the coolest part of Starship to me is that it's just cool. Like, it's so when you're going to space, what are we doing there? What does that theme afford? And if I go up to someone and I'm like, you can just build a starship, my gut says that's just cool. I wanna do that.
And getting to assemble a ship and launch it, you know, again, it just speaks for itself.
The simplest example is there's a piece with Divine Shield, there's a piece that has Taunt. On their own, they're cool. That's a minion that does its thing. Put that together, Taunt with Divine Shield is like, whoa!
The option to press the big shiny launch button. What does the interface need to have? Clicking on the enemy starship when they're building it and looking at their pieces, so I can make a plan of what's to come next.
We had to teach the concept of a starship piece, these sort of like homing missiles that find their final location. For the final launching moment, the wings actually come out. Those were wings the whole time. The big reveal, and yeah.
Just getting the concept of energy being, you know, expended, and just you know, trying to make that into a satisfying sound, you know, and something that fits within, as Leo said, you know, Warcraft. I mean, I always set out to make it sound, you know, epic, you know, to the max. At the same time, you know, be something that a card game player would appreciate as a moment during a game, you know, rather than being overpowering.
To your point, Leo, this is our last chance we really get to play with this, you know? Like, what's the best version of space magic we can do for the Great Dark Beyond?
I just think it's cool. This is one of the biggest keywords we've ever done. There's so much jam-packed in it. When I say you're gonna build a starship, there's an image in your head that comes up of like, oh, I'm putting things together to like build this massive ship, and you see what actually is the gameplay. It's like, oh, got it. The one starship that I'm most excited for people to play with is all the rogue starship stuff. A lot of the excitement that I think there is to be had with starships is the combinations of the pieces, and rogue is that like times 20. It's what if you're not only combining pieces from one class, but every class, and trying to figure out like on the fly, what do I do with this piece that I got randomly? It also helps that the piece that Rogue gets, the gravitational displacer, is pretty good.
It is pretty good.
So many people work on so many things, and like Starship is such a like gargantuan team effort. It's just like, I'm so thankful for how talented the people that I work with are. Yeah.